It is known as the happiest place on earth. Disneyland, Disney World, the whole Disney brand. But a new documentary premiering at the Sundance Film Festival tonight puts that to the test. Here's a preview.
By a show of hands, how many of you have someone you know that works at Disney that's on food stamps? Wow. How many of you know somebody who works at Disney who slept in their car in the last couple of years? How many of you know somebody who have gone without medical care because they can't afford it? How many of you all have children?
I am somebody who doesn't have kids. I don't have the finances to take care of a child in the way that I would like to. It's affected my ability to family plan and to look towards my future as far as my personal life. And it's not, this is not where I thought I'd be at 33.
The film is called The American Dream and Other Fairy Tales. It's directed, produced, narrated by Roy Disney's granddaughter, Abigail Disney. She joins me now. Thank you for being here.
Pleasure to be here.
Wage inequality. It is well documented, right? And you began speaking out about this a few years ago. What is it about it that made it your passion, your drive, your life's work that got you here?
Yeah, I've been tortured since I was a little girl by the fact that I knew I was so lucky. And it just always bothered me. It never really felt right. I was raised in a pretty religious home, and it didn't match with what I thought I was hearing every Sunday. So I've always worked in one way or another on trying to make the world a better place. But, honestly, when I saw this so close to home, I felt like I couldn't stay silent.
I have to say, that part of the documentary that we just filmed, it's very, very impactful. You're sitting down with a group of employees from Disneyland. What do the employees that you profile, especially the 4 that you mainly profile, what do they think about this film and the publicity and the focus now?
I am so proud to say that they have all told me they really love it and they're really proud to have worked with us because, they were engaged with the union already because they felt that it shouldn't be happening to them and they didn't want it to happen to other people either. They all work so hard. And so I'm excited that they all feel really delighted. 3 of them have talked about moving on and not working at Disney anymore, which is heartbreaking to me because Disney used to be a place you stayed for a lifetime. But that isn't true of the low-wage employees anymore.
And we reached out to Disney to ask for a statement, and I want to read for everyone the statement that Disney offered us. And they said this: "The well-being and aspirations of our employees and cast will always be our top priority. We provide a leading and holistic employment package that includes competitive pay and comprehensive benefits for our cast members to grow their careers and care for their families. That starts with fair pay and leading entry wages, but also includes affordable medical coverage, access to tuition-free higher education, subsidized childcare for eligible employees, as well as pathways for personal and professional development." And a spokesperson also pointed to that the company outpaces statewide minimum wage statewide minimum wage levels in both Florida and California. And recently, the company agreed to a 16% raise for certain workers. Do you see that as progress?
Yes, I absolutely do. I see it as progress, and I'm delighted that they agreed to a wage hike for their low-wage employees. It's a great step in the right direction. It is only a step because low-wage employees are not simply about getting more dollars into their pockets. They're also looking to be treated like humans. There are a lot of things, and I think the education piece of it that they always feature when they push back on me is an interesting place to focus and drill a little deep on, because they offer education on the theory that there's like this ladder you climb. And sure, you're in a low-wage job today, but if you take this education, then you'll move up to a better paying job. And it sounds right, and it is a belief system Americans hold really tightly. But the dark side of that mythology is that you're assuming that someone's going to come in at that same wage and do that same job when you rise into the next one. And so you're accepting that there is perpetually an underclass of people that have to do these incredibly hard jobs for not enough money. So $24 an hour is closer to the living wage in Anaheim. They've come up to 18, which is brilliant. I'm happy. Brilliant. Good job, Disney. But I'm talking about a living wage, and I'm talking about employers treating every single one of their employees as though they were in that job or as though their son or daughter were in that job.
Well, and that's what I actually want to ask you about, because this is personal for you, obviously, you've made clear, but is this about changing companies and corporate culture, or is this about changing laws? I mean, because does a billionaire's tax fix all of what you have learned through filming this?
This is a question of both. And the problem is you can never really boil things down to one thing. I know for a fact that a campaign was waged to change our country's norms around how companies should handle their employees, what it was each American's job to do to take care of themselves. We went from somewhat of a communal culture that was interested in making sure that broad classes of people were okay to a culture that said every man for himself. And I don't really care how everybody else is doing. And that was what justified the low tax environment. That's what justified the killing of regulations, the attack on unions, and so forth. All of these things have left workers in a really terrible place. So norm shifting was really important, but those norms feed law changes, regulation changes. So we're not going to find the political will unless we shift our norms. But in the meantime, there has to be a billionaire's tax. There has to be higher corporate tax. There has to be regulation on corporations and an IRS well-funded enough to collect all the taxes they're supposed to get. There's a million things that have to happen all at the same time, and corporate culture must change.
The film is called The American Dream and Other Fairy Tales. Abigail Disney, thank you for coming on.
Thank you.